Standing in the wake of this train wreck, my heart is beating faster in my chest. This depression terrifies me. When I'm awake, it's like these thoughts, they paralyze me. I don't wanna feel like this. I don't wanna feel like this. Time stops, weightless and cold. Silence burns like fire while my fears unfold. There's panic. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drained of air, life feels unfair without you. Come back to me, don't leave me to dream about you, dream about you, dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? Without you, what is left to say when the sky falls? I'm staring at your ghost in the stars. There's not a day that I don't miss you. The feeling swelling overflow. It's like I see you, hear you. I don't wanna feel like this. Why do I still feel like this? Heart ripped out of my brain. I sit here talking to myself. I think I'm going insane. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drained of air, life feels unfair without you. Come back to me, don't leave me to dream about you, dream about you, dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? The only way to fix this, the only way to fix this pain inside. The only way to fix this is a deep breath in as you say
I kick ass for the Lord.
What about me?
I never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic.
Bit me with his butt.
Can't see it from here.
What about the panty?
What about the
Joe?
panty? What's up, Butters? What's up, Butters? It never gets old. I still love it. I got to add some new ones, though. It's getting a little stale,
That
you
would
know?
be nice, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time
Also,
and
I'm
effort.
going to go ahead and apologize for talking not as loud today because I've got a sleeper in the room next
Ooh.
to me.
Better than a Gasper.
That is it's way better than a Gasper. She wasn't dead yet.
She wasn't dead yet. She wasn't dead. Hey, everybody, welcome in to 52/1993, your movie podcast about movies from the year 1993, 30 years ago. And probably nobody cares about it, but I do. And we've watched 50, or we're going to watch 52 of them. Some of them we've seen, some of them we love, some of them we hate. Some that are new to us and have enjoyed some of those so far. And always, what we do here is we talk about the movie, and I usually have a guest host on here. And my guest host this week, Spencer. Spencer, how are you doing?
Doing well. It was a busy weekend. We had we had a family birthday party and then a friend birthday party where everybody came to the house. My son turned 3 on
Nice.
Friday, so it's
Happy
been
birthday,
very,
son.
very hectic, and I slept a lot today.
That's good, though. Good recovery.
Well,
Sunday's always a good recovery day.
That's what he's doing right now. He's been asleep for like 3 hours, maybe more.
Really?
Yeah. Hope he's
Is that
okay.
is that going to be good for tonight? You know, when he goes to sleep tonight.
Hey, he's 3 now, so he's of age to get melatonin. So
Oh,
we'll see.
that's true. Just pump it full. Just keep
You want these gummy bears?
Here you go. Yeah, happy birthday to the little one.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to your friend. I'm sure they're great.
Oh no, I mean like we separated his party out where we had a party for the family.
Oh, just
and a
for
party
family and then
friends. Yeah. I ain't
Oh,
letting all
okay.
those people in the house at once.
Oh, yeah. COVID's still a thing.
Well, that's not really. I mean, it's just a lot
You
of
just don't like people.
It's true.
That's true. All right. Well, we've got some intros out of the way. So let's talk about this movie. This week's movie, we're talking about Robin Hood Men in Tights. I know a lot of us have seen this. A lot of us from our childhood have seen this. I knew definitely me watched this in my childhood. I love Mel Brooks. He's very near and dear to me. And I love a lot of movies that he does. What is your experience with this movie or any Mel Brooks altogether?
Uh-oh.
Oh, did it freeze?
Oh,
did
okay.
you lose
You're
me?
good. You're good. You froze.
Okay.
But I think we're good now. You know my internet issues. But so my experience with this movie is actually that I hadn't seen it until I think a few years ago. My wife introduced me to it. So I didn't get the childhood experience from it, I guess, that you might have. I've seen, obviously, in my childhood, I did see both, and we'll probably talk more about these later. I saw both
Spaceballs.
no, Princess Bride. I did see Blazing Saddles way too young, but I saw Princess Bride and Monty Python: The Holy Grail.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, I was, kind of familiar with the genre, the humor and stuff like that. Spaceballs was one of my favorites growing up, so I was familiar with Mel Brooks. And funny side note on that, absolutely hate Star Wars, and I've not actually seen like a full Star Wars movies, but I love Spaceballs.
I saw Spaceballs before I saw Star Wars as a kid.
It's so good. Like I don't feel like you need to see it.
Yeah, it's true. You don't need to see. I think Spaceballs is underappreciated.
Oh, for sure. And I will get into it. I think you may underappreciate this movie more than I think.
Well, I hope so. I want you to change my mind, but let's talk about it a little bit more. Let's get into this. So Robin Hood Men in Tights came out July 28th, I keep wanting to say 2023. It was 1993. It was directed by Mel Brooks. It was written by Mel Brooks and J. David Shapiro and Evan Chandler. The stars of this movie, there's a lot of them to list. There's some, even bit parts in here that are kind of familiar with Mel Brooks, including him being one of them. But Cary Elwes is in this movie as Robin Hood, Richard Lewis as Prince John, Roger Rees as Sheriff of Rottingham, Amy Yasbeck is Maid Marian, Dave Chappelle in his first movie, plays Achu. Mark
Bless you.
Blankfield. Mark Blankfield plays Blinken. Eric Allen Kramer plays Little John. Matthew Peretta plays Will Scarlett O'Hara. Isaac Hayes, a sneeze. Tracy Ullman, latrine. Megan Kavanaugh is Broomhilda. Patrick Stewart's in here. Dom DeLuise, Dick Van Patten, Mel Brooks. They're all in here scattered about, playing different characters. But let's go ahead and talk about the synopsis of this movie. Crusading nobleman Robin of Locksley escapes from prison in Jerusalem and returns home to find that the evil Prince John has confiscated his family estate and is abusing the citizenry. Robin enlists his blind attendant Blinken, his friend Will Scarlett O'Hara, and Little John to help regain his home. Robin also hopes to woo the beautiful maid Marian, but her chastity belt may prove a challenge. This movie had of $20 million and actually did pretty well at the box office, made $72 million. However, on the critic side of things, I struggled to find positive reviews for this. Rotten Tomatoes had a 41%. IMDb had a much higher rating of this, is 6.7 out of 10. And Roger Ebert didn't even review this movie for the Chicago, whatever paper he wrote for. But I found a couple others. So the one-time master parodist seems so focused on this universe bounded by the ass on one end, so to speak, and the groin on the other that he forgets to do anything at all original to spoof Robin Hood or the swashbuckling films Hollywood has made for him. That was Robert Fairs of the Austin Chronicle. He gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And then here's one from Variety. Leonard Clady said, Robin Hood Men in Tights marks a return to the wild anarchic scatological Jeez, I am struggling.
He just got his
Scatological
thesaurus out.
comedies that made Mel Brooks a marquee name around the world. But I will tell you that this did make their Siskel and Ebert were famous for their reviews on television and everything. And they did a 2023 list or a 1993 list. Again, I apologize, that they make at the end of the year. And this was one of their worst movies at the end of the year. So I will say that they did not like it, but did not write about it. So woof. Right?
This really shocks me. Like,
Really?
yeah, I might end up having some hot takes on this one because
Oh, I hope so.
I couldn't. I laughed throughout the entire thing. So
I found myself rewatching this and then trying to remember the nostalgia that I had from watching this as a child and really enjoying this. And like, there were parts of this movie that I would quote. There's parts I quote all the time from this particular movie. And then I watched it this time around. And even the last time, I think I watched it maybe within the last 2 years. And it just was not funny to me. The jokes just didn't. The jokes just didn't land like I think they were supposed to. I felt like some of the acting was really bad. And I know this is like a parody movie and everything, but it felt lower budget than the low budget that it was given. Like, it felt bare bones and like nobody wanted to be there. It felt like Carrie Ellis was doing a just a poor Wesley impersonation.
I could see the comparison with Wesley, but I am going to disagree saying that it was poor. Damn.
I just did not think that anybody was good. I have some thoughts on people that were really good in this movie and outshined whatever was put on screen. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion about like, it just did not hit with me. I kind of sat stone faced for a lot of it and like chuckled, like I give a little giggle, but like some of the stuff just did not hit me anymore.
Any chance that it had to do with maybe your mindset when you watch the movie? Because that happens to me sometimes. If I'm in a good mood, I'm watching something, obviously I'm going to rate it a lot higher than if I'm in a poor mood and making it feel like homework.
No, I think I reviewed this movie a couple of years ago. And I gave it not a great score. And then this time around, I had a pretty good day. And there was nothing weighing on me or anything like that. It was just a normal day. I felt like,
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
Fair enough.
I was able to answer some questions and all these things about it, but tell me what you like about it.
I don't know. I think it's that classic Mel Brooks spoof humor. I think one knock that it may have on it, well, two, I guess, are the two movies because Princess Bride was before this, correct?
Yes, came out in '87, so 5 years
Okay.
before this.
So I think Monty Python and Princess Bride both having been out already.
Yeah.
I think that really hit it because people are obviously going to compare the subject matter to those two, especially with it being a spoof movie. Monty Python's obviously going to be a direct comparison, and people really like that. And then Princess Bride because of Carrie Elwes especially. So I think that's a couple of huge knocks against it.
Mhm.
I just thought the spoof humor was there. I thought maybe I don't know, because I mean, people in general like Spaceballs, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand how they would like this any different. Now, Spaceballs is much better, but and it also appeals to a broader audience because you've got Spaceballs, or I mean, Star Wars fans. But I still think it's on par with it. I think the humor, the writing is good, and we'll get in constant.
You're cutting out a little bit. No, you're freezing.
Great.
I saw a quote. I got a little bit of what you had. Your connection's kind of getting real fuzzy there, but a little bit of the stuff. I saw one
Yeah,
person
sorry.
say, "No, you're okay. Do not worry about anything." One thing that I saw about like the fourth wall breaking, it might have
Mhm.
been Gene Siskel that said this, is like, if you're gonna break the fourth wall, you better have something funny to say at the end of it. Like he was like, none of those jokes landed. And there was one time there was a fourth wall break that I really liked, just because of the line with it. It was Tracy Ullman, and she's just got done, whatever, ravaging the sheriff of Rottingham, and she says, "I think I touched it," and I thought that was pretty funny. I thought that was good.
Yeah,
I think I
that one
touched it.
I think that one was in one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah.
But there was another instance, and it's part of one of my scenes that I really liked when they were having the archery contest, and then everybody ends up getting out their script, and he says, "I have one more shot," and they're like, "Wait," and everybody pulls out their script, and they're like,
Yeah.
he's got one more shot," and I really laughed at that part.
There's a couple of fourth wall like there's a fourth wall break that Dave Chappelle is not good in this movie, in my opinion.
Oh
And
no, see,
it's his
no.
first movie. I think he's bad. I think he's
I went
terrible.
opposite. I think he was hilarious. I really love Dave Chappelle.
But like they did this constant thing, and this is the only reason I'm bringing up Dave Chappelle, is like they made him the sheriff of Rottingham at the end of the movie, and then he's like, "Hey, it worked in Blazing Saddles," like that rep, like, "Oh, hey, remember that really funny movie that we did? Yeah, this
No,
one's funny too,
that's not
right?"
how I took it. I really liked it. In fact, that's another one of my favorite quotes. A black sheriff. It worked in Blazing Saddles. But even before then, they even added kind of a double joke in there because they said a black sheriff, and Blinken goes, "He's black?"
Oh yeah.
Then he said, "Why not? It worked in Blazing Saddles." I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I don't know. The jokes just did not land with me. But that's why we talk about these things, and that's why we have different opinions. If everybody agreed, this would all suck. So
That's true.
let's talk about the movie in particular. What are some scenes that really stood out to you? I think we'll have a good variety of scenes here, especially with you liking it so much and me not liking it. So I'll start with you. What are some scenes that really stood out to you?
Yeah, so we had kind of already talked about the archery scene. So not only do they have the breaking of the fourth wall in that I talked about, but then there's also the ridiculousness of the Patriot arrow that was really funny. And then so I'm obviously going like so out of order here.
No, you're
Um,
fine. Yeah.
and Another one was the scene where it was the domino effect of all the knights falling. I really laughed at how long that went on.
I was watching that and I was like, oh, look at how they did that. They set up a bunch of them and like the last like 6 were real people.
Yeah,
Because you could tell how they're falling. But I was admiring that a little bit. But
I
yeah,
thought that one was good. And then one more that really struck me as funny because I've got some other scenes for our other questions. But when they were having this sword fight at the very end and they were doing the shadow puppets on the
oh
wall, I
yeah,
laughed
that
really hard
was
at that.
so
It says,
dumb.
"Rawr."
Yeah, I had those. I had the Robin Hood and Little John fight scene where they cross the bridge.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
I
with
did
the
have
sticks.
yeah, with the little sticks and them hitting it on each other's hands and
And you
everything, and
telling
him.
me Dave Chappelle jumping over saying, "Back, I'm on this side, I'm on that side." Wasn't
Like,
funny to you?
I don't. Dave Chappelle was not funny. Remember, like that whole bit at the beginning of the movie when they were like, "Do you know praying mantis?" And there's like, "Yeah," and then they do this dumb fight scene that I was just like, "That's not funny. None of this is funny." Um, but I mean that Little John fight scene is okay, and it's direct. I mean, a lot of this is directly parodying the Robin Hood Men in or not Men in Thieves, Prince of Thieves movie that I'm playing behind me on my VCR on TV. That's the one with Kevin Costner as Robin Hood, who tries to do an English accent, which they make fun of in this movie, and there's a lot of other stuff like the Sheriff of Nottingham is that's a direct parody in this movie. There is no Prince John in this movie behind me. So that's a little bit different. And Spencer, I think you've completely gone. You are frozen, my friend. So you might have to back out and get back here. But I'm going to continue until you come back. And we'll see what's going on with this. Hopefully everybody else can hear me and see me. Please let me know in the chat if you can still hear me and see me. One of the other scenes that I had here listed was the Don Giovanni scene, which I'll bring up later. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you. Let's see what if I can do. Let's just remove him from stream and then we'll have him come back. There we go.
Oh,
There he is. Now he's back.
it's the worst.
All right. Sorry, man. That's okay. If it cuts out permanently, that is okay. Well, but I would like to talk to you about this movie.
Yeah, me too. Because I've got opinions.
Yeah, you got opinions. I love the Don Giovanni scene. I'll talk about that later. And then the Robin Hood and Sheriff fighting for Marion scene. I don't know how much you heard of what I was saying before.
Yeah, I heard that you were talking about that it was a direct comparison to Prince of Thieves, and that's what was playing behind you. I'm actually really surprised that you liked the Don Giovanni scene. That was the Godfather parody, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was actually, and I'll go ahead and get down there because obviously I liked the movie. So I did kind of you ain't all that type thing. That Godfather scene was not my favorite scene. If I could take any scene, if I could take any scene out of the movie, it'd have been that one. I thought it was just like, I thought the movie was hitting real good, the jokes were real good, and then that just kind of fell flat and was slow, and then it picked back up.
That's actually my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Really funny.
That's incredible. I don't think and then I had the fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
Robin Hood and Sheriff fighting for Marion. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And it ends like that is almost the exact way that this movie ends behind me.
Oh, wow. See, I hadn't seen that movie.
Yeah. If you watch that movie, you'll be like, oh, look at that shirt. That looks a lot like the shirt that the movie's not great. This is one of my favorite movies growing up. Prince of Thieves behind me. And Alan Rickman is incredible in this movie. He plays the Sheriff of Nottingham. And I mean, he's coming off of Die Hard, where he's already been this villain. His villain in this one, so freaking good. He's the best part of the movie. Morgan Freeman's in it. Christian Slater. I mean, it's a banger of a cast. I think everybody should watch it. And I got in trouble when I was a child, funny enough, for saying lines from that movie. Because one of the lines was an F word, and you don't say the F word in the in front of my mom because
Oh
that's like
no.
number one rule I say to anybody that's going to meet my parents: don't say the F word in front of my mom. She'll hate you forever. So
Oh
don't do that,
no. I
or
hope
don't
she's
show
not
her.
watching this
I was about to
stream.
say, don't show her the stream. She'll be really disappointed in me.
Nice to fucking meet you, Miss Wade.
Who's your favorite character? Or
Uh,
I have two. I have two. I split this because it's like favorite character and scene stealer are different
I've-
for me. So
I've got two as well, and you're gonna hate my first one because that's Dave Chappelle's Achu. Because I laugh anything he said, I laughed. And then the second one was Roger Rees as the sheriff of Nottingham. I thought he did a really, really, really good job.
okay, so my favorite character, I thought he was the best character in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Roger Rees, definitely as sheriff of Nottingham. I thought he was the most committed, and I thought he just was all about it. I don't know. He was the best in this movie. But my scene stealer's Blinken. I
I was
freaking
wondering if you'd say Blinken.
love Blinken. That guy's amazing and should have done more than he did, but it's whatever. And I remember
Blinken was-
he was in like one episode of Saved by the Bell. I'm the guy that plays Blinken.
Oh, that's right. I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot because doesn't he fake plays Slater's dad or something?
Yes, he fake plays a bunch of people. I think he
That's right.
plays Zach's dad too.
Yeah, and Belding at one point.
Yes, he plays Mr. Belding at one point. Yes, he's
Dude,
incredible.
we have watched
There you go again, cutting out on me. I'm gonna kill your internet.
no. I know. Well, you're
No,
not
I
the
really
only one.
love Blinken. Blinken is the supplier of most of my quotes in this.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough. He does have some good ones.
Let's just move on to that. What are some of the quotes that you really enjoyed from this movie? I think you'll have a lot more than me.
I do have a lot of quotes. Oh, thanks in the chat. We got jokes in the peanut gallery. So one of them was a Dave Chappelle quote, which I know you'll hate. But Carrie Elwes says, "Watch my back." He says, "Your back just got punched twice," and that made me laugh really hard.
That's in that
And
fight
then at
scene that
one
I hate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then I think it's in that same fight scene that Dave Chappelle says, "Okay, honkies, time in," and I laughed really hard at that. Then there was this scene that I don't think you hated, where they're fighting on the bridge. Was it one? I don't remember. I think it was. And the guy says, "You haven't seen The Last of Us," and then he like shoots all the arrows. And he said, "You've seen The Last of Us."
Oh yeah, that's that same scene.
Is it this
Yeah.
one? I know you'll have on here because there's no way you can't. And it was, "Hey Blinken, did you say hey Blinken?"
Did you say hey Blinken?
And then of course the one you mentioned, "I was that close, I touched it."
I touched it.
I think the way that Mel Brooks, and in the background after I watched it and researched it, but the way that Mel Brooks says, "You prince of thieves," you made me laugh. And then the last one, other than that Blazing Saddles one, was, "Hey Abbott."
Hey, I bet. I had that one too, and the guy
I
says,
knew you would.
I hate that guy. I never knew until watching this movie and doing a little bit of research that is mimicking an Abbott and Costello bit, and that's how that's how Costello would always say hi to Abbott. Hey, Abbott.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you told me that either.
I had a couple others. It's Blinken. He says, "You lost your arms in battle, but you grew some nice boobs," when he's hugging the Venus de Milo.
Yes.
There's a lot of boob stuff in this one. And then, especially in my quotes, it says, Will Scarlet says, "Blinken, fix your boobs. You look like a bleeding Picasso," because his boobs are all on like one side of his body, and that's pretty great. I'll take your frozen smile as an agreement. At least you got frozen in a good way. At least he got frozen in a good way, right? Let's see if we can get him back here. That is okay.
Hey, I'm gonna try to move to mobile while we're talking. So we'll see if it works.
you're good. You're good. We're gonna talk about the biggest laugh, cry, scare, or thrill in this movie once you get back. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm back at the moment. Let's see. Oh yeah, so one of them kind of piggybacks off of um your quote for Blinken, and it was when he was looking at the Playboy, and, and
yeah.
he didn't know the walls had fallen all around him and stuff. I laughed really hard at that. For some reason, I laughed at the circumcision guillotine really hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, I might be able to join on here real quick. Let me see. Click allow. I feel like such a boomer right now. It was so the circumcision guillotine. Forget it. And then the sheriffs. For some reason, the sheriffs, whenever they were doing the archery contest, the sheriff's signal to shoot Robin Hood was really funny because he just went. and, and I laughed really hard. And then the sheriff's walk, like the way he would walk away, was cracking me up because it was just like this sexy walk that he would do. And then the
When they all
last,
did the walk this way, and
yeah, and then the last one was one of the last scenes when they say all toilets shall be known as John's.
oh, okay. It's funny. I still only put the Don Giovanni scene, and now that I'm thinking about it, like I can't even pinpoint in the Don Giovanni scene what it is that really stood out. Besides the Godfather parody, I think Dom DeLuise does a good parody there. But he's got the Luca guy, the big guy, the guy
Oh,
that shoots the arrows against Robin. When he stands up, he's like, "I hope your child is a masculine child," which is directly from the original Godfather movie. I thought that was really funny and out of place. We come here on the day of your daughter's wedding. So I really laughed at that stuff. And I'm trying to think of anything else directly from that. I can't remember, but that's what I wrote down as being my favorite scene in this movie.
my least favorite.
I'll tell you one thing that I really did not like, and this will go right into, I mean, besides a lot of the movie, I hated the rapping. The rapping parts where they're like talking about the story.
No!
I hated it. Every time it came up, I was like, this thing again? And like, I know it. Like, I knew the whole, I said, hey, hey. I said, hey, hey. I knew that whole, I know that all, but I hated it.
I'm so sad.
Is that your best music moment?
It's one of them.
No, I don't know why I did not like it. And maybe this parody comes from the Disney animated Robin Hood. You know, they have, somebody singing the songs in the background, kind of moving the minstrel that is is telling the story there through song. I think this is just a bad version of it. And like, it's that bad 90s rap. And you can tell that those raps were not written by, they were definitely written by Mel Brooks. So like a 70-year-old man writing these terrible rap songs. Like, it just wasn't good. I just did not, I was out on it.
You're telling me that it never does this get stuck in your head? Hey, nani nani and a ho ho ho.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can quote this movie, but I just don't think it's funny to me anymore. I don't know why.
So sad.
Hey, nani nani and a boom boom boom.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I am very sorry about this, but yeah, that's what I have as like my most ridiculous moment, or WTF. I was like, what is this? What am I watching?
Well, I've got a lot of
It's okay.
WTF and ridiculous moments, but in a good way.
Give it to me.
Well,
Okay,
actually,
give it to me in a good way.
I already went through some of them, but I'll go ahead and include again
That's
the breaking
fine.
of the fourth wall stuff. So really, that leaves me with just one more, and that was Prince John Mole. Prince John's mole continually moving. I laughed at that.
I hate it. See, okay, we watched. I wanted to bring this up. We watched something with a mole earlier this year. We watched Hot Shots Part 2, and I think that movie is so much funnier than this movie.
I was
And they have the mole, and you can pick up the beauty mark and all this stuff. Like, I was like, why? And I hate it. It's so large. It was a large mole. I wanted him to just get rid of it.
It looked so much better. I was fully planning on coming today and saying that this movie blows Hot Shots out of the water. I enjoyed this movie way
I
more than Hot Shots.
disagree. The mole is my favorite bit in this movie. I hated that.
It was great. It looked more
That
realistic,
means
that's
that-
for sure.
Well, she had a beauty mark. That's all. Not a mole. It's
Yeah,
just like a
well.
freckle, and she gave it to him. No, I think Hot Shots is far superior, and I think that the success of Hot Shots and I'm trying to think there what else was coming out during this time, like not Police Academy, Naked Gun. Like, I think the success of those movies like kind of had catapulted parody in this. Like, the parodies that they were putting out at the time were much better than this. Like, it's like, oh, we had Spaceballs, now we've got these really good action parodies. And was anybody really wanting this Robin Hood parody? I mean, just because the movie behind me was so successful, they were like, yeah, well, let's do that. While the other ones had a plethora of things to parody. For me, like, you have Top Gun, you've got all these action movies, Rambo movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of these action movies in the 80s to parody. And this is parodying one movie, maybe three movies tops. One from 2 years before this, a animated cartoon movie version of this, and then the Errol Flynn one from the 1930s. Like, that's all they're pulling from. And I just don't think they have enough in there that there's just not enough humor in there for those movies to be a good parody. I think good parody comes when you have a lot of source material to draw from.
It definitely
But
makes
I
it
can be-
easier. But I think that I again agree to disagree on this one. But I think it was good. I think it was a good job. But I do agree. Like, the more movies you have to parody, like, the easier it's gonna be. Like, if parody movies were still around, because they're really not. They kind of died off and they got really bad.
Really not.
But,
Yeah.
like, if they were around, I feel like they could do like a really good, like, Harry Potter and stuff like that, because there's a lot to pull from. So I see where you're coming from. In that.
I do want to see, I think, like, it's a version of parody, and it's not, from what I've heard, The Blackening, which
I
just
do wanna
came out
see
this
that.
year. I love the I love the tagline on the poster. We can't all be the first to die. I love that. I think that's so funny. But apparently it's not even like true parody of like what Scary Movie used to do. So it's a little bit smarter, and it's drawing from I guess smarter scary movies like Get Out or Nope or anything like Jordan Peele or any of those like A24 movies that are coming out now. So I've heard that that's what it's drawing from, but maybe I don't know. I don't know what. Yeah, there's a good example. Parody move from movies to Broadway. That's really good. There's a lot of Mel Brooks properties that did move to Broadway, and then Titanic is a very funny parody Broadway show that I don't know anything about, but I know it's funny because I've seen clips of it. But I don't know. Again, agree to disagree. This one just didn't work for me, and it worked really well for you. So I am glad it did for you. You're frozen again, but that's okay. We're going to move on to the best music moment. And I think there are basically 3 musical scenes in this movie. The Harry Potter parody musical is on YouTube. That's right. That's a good example of that. So let's see. He popped out. Let's pop him back in here. That's okay. We've moved on to the best music moment, and we'll see if you're having any kind of success. If not, man, it is okay, and I can go on, and we can figure this out at another time. That is quite all right. So you don't feel bad about your internet or anything like that. But one thing I wanted to talk about is the best musical moments from this movie. Again, like I was saying, there's about 3 of them. So you've got the rapping minstrel to, drive us through the story. I don't think I keep saying minstrel, but that's what it was in the cartoon version. He was a rooster, and I think that's what they were called. And I again, it's very 90s, very early 90s rap that I did not love. Then you also have the titular Robin Hood Men in Tights song, which I think everybody knows. And when you're watching this movie, the only thing that you're thinking about is that Men in Tights song. And I was thinking about that and how much I did not put the Men in Tights song as my song of choice for this like best music moment. But I will say that I think that is a well-written song, and I think that is a classic Mel Brooks. I'd be surprised if he didn't write that. I think of all the other musical numbers he's had in any of these other movies that he has, and I think, even from the producers on, like, that one fits, and that's such a classic, good musical number for that. But my favorite music moment, and Spencer, if you're still here, we'll see which one's your favorite. But I really like The Night Is Young and You're So Beautiful, even though neither one of them are singing to each other. But that scene where they're behind the sheet and everything, and the guys are all watching, and the shadows are moving around, and you see a lot of suggestive imagery. That song really took me away. I love that song. Dean Martin sings a version of that song, and I think it's just a really, really funny version of that. So, Spencer, I think you're still frozen, which is okay. But my next categories are going to feel really empty unless I get some. He does get a standing ovation in that song. That's true. So let's see where we're at here with Spencer getting on here.
Gonna die.
Hello?
Here.
I can hear you. Yes.
Go.
Wow, you're. You look great. You might make sure it's off of. Are you on mobile or are you on Wi-Fi?
I'm on. Everything theoretically should be okay.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite music moment from this movie? Is it the rapping? Is it the song, the Men in Tights song, or Night Is Young and You're So Beautiful?
So the rapping party, but I also put, and I honestly can't recall what part of the movie this was from, but I think at some point everybody started singing "Row, Row, Row Your Boat," and I thought that was a really good music moment, and I can't remember from though.
I can't remember where it's at either. I know what you're talking about.
Huh.
I don't remember.
That's past Spencer making this decision for future Spencer. So thanks for that.
Well, I'm glad you're back because I've got a really important question to ask you. And it is where I get to my fuck, marry, kill. And I'm very eager to give these 3 to you. And there was a way I could have went with this, but I chose not to. So your 3 individuals are Latrine, the witch, Broomhilda, the associate of Maid Marian, and Blinken dressed as a woman.
Oh, I mean, I feel like this one's easy for me because, is it though? No,
I don't know.
As I originally thought. I think I'm gonna go ahead and kill the witch. I'm going to. I think I'm gonna marry Blinken, and then I'm gonna fuck Broomhilda.
Okay. Why are you going that way with Broomhilda?
I honestly did not think she was unattractive. And maybe I'm in the minority, but I thought, yeah, she's fine looking. The witch, obviously disgusting and just super thirsty.
See, I think that's why I liked. I think I switch your Broomhilda and Latrine. But I'm obviously marrying Blinken. He's loyal.
Oh yeah, he's
But I
loyal.
think
He's
Latrine,
funny.
he's blind. What more could you
Yeah.
ask for in a wife?
Exactly.
His boobs are on the same side of his body.
Got about. Oh, look at you laughing at this movie now.
They're just over. That was one of the moments I already talked about.
Well,
No, yeah, I went a little bit opposite. I do love the actress that plays Broomhilda. She's the actress from A League of Their Own who plays Marla Hooch, who might be one
oh,
of my favorite characters in A League of Their
I
Own.
love Marla. My mom and I used to walk around the house going.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And up and down.
Marla,
Poor Marla Hooch.
great.
That's the whole reason the Rockford Peaches did not win the championship is because Marla Hooch got married. So it breaks my heart. I got an unsealed copy, or no, a sealed copy of A League of Their Own yesterday. I was pretty happy about that. It's got to be worth something, right?
Yeah.
Sealed VHS copy of League of Their Own. Marla Hooch. I need her to sign it.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
That would be ideal. I'll work on it. All right. Who do you think gave the best performance in this movie?
So Roger Reese.
I am with you on Roger Rees. I just don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's because he already did this role so well in Princess Bride. I just feel like he's just like, whatever. Like, I can do this in my sleep kind of thing. And I could not stop paying attention to his facial hair in this movie. He has the the goatee going on in this movie, and it looks so bad. Like his little beard. I know that has nothing to do with his performance, but I could not take my eyes off of it. Bad facial wig, man. You're hating this so much. Well, I think, like I said, I think Roger.
The fact that the internet makes it hard to argue with you right now.
I know. I'm very sorry about that. Okay, this is another one, and I'll ask you so you can talk and you don't have to worry about arguing with me. But if you were recasting this for 2023, I didn't really think of anybody to replace in the 1993 version, but I was thinking of recasting this for 2023, and I was like, who are our comedy stars? Who are the people that you could throw in a parody movie like this and it be good? We have our shitty actors that you could easily they did that for years with 14 Scary Movie movies, and you saw like the same cast of characters and B-list celebrities and everything. I was like, I want an A-list celebrity in this movie. Not saying that maybe like Carrie Ellis and Amy Asbeck are A-list by any means, but like, who could we put in this to revamp it, make it fresh and new and good?
So I did really bad at this one. I was not real happy with anybody that I chose, and in fact, I did try to do a 1993, and I'll go ahead and throw that out there, just so you can see what I came up with. Two of them are gimmies, really. So as Prince John, I said you could either do, and this first one might be a bit old, but you could either do Gene Wilder or Rick Moranis as Prince John. And then the only thing I could come up with as Robin Hood, because I really liked Gary Elwes, I thought he was a perfect casting. I think maybe Kevin Kline, as we saw earlier in Dave, I think he might have been good as Robin Hood. But as far as 2023 goes, I put for Robin Hood, I put Tom Holland as Prince John. I put Ben Stiller, and then I I did a little bonus here just because Broomhilda reminded me so much of her. So as Broomhilda, I said Lauren Ash, or think of like Dina from Superstore.
Yes, she would be great. I love Lauren Ash. She's so
That was
good.
the only one I thought that was good.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. I like that. I also thought Larry David would be good in any of the like the Prince John role, or you could put him in the Mel Brooks role. Obviously,
That's what I was thinking.
I
Yeah,
thought
the
that
Mel
would be
Brooks
good.
role.
Even yeah, and or even like let's go back to '93. You could put Larry David in there too. I don't think they ran in the same circles, Larry David and Mel Brooks, but I thought that he was probably a little bit younger then, and 30 years younger then, and he might have fit in better. I was trying to think like Richard Lewis is fine as Prince John, but I was trying to think of bigger comedians at that time. Because I don't love Richard Lewis. He's fine.
Really? See, I thought I
Also-
almost put him as one of my best performances.
I think there are times in the movie when he sells a line like that. I like the scene when he throws the pig on the table at that like banquet scene or whatever. He's like, very good. That is very funny. Like, I really like that delivery of those lines that he had in that scene in particular. But I couldn't think. I'm not very familiar with like 1990s stand-up comedians that weren't on like Saturday Night Live during that time. And I wouldn't put any of those people on here. So I thought of like 2023, Karen Gillan for Maid Marian. If you don't know who she is Nebula from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. She's also in the Jumanji movie. She's the tall redhead. I was like, you know who I'm talking about in the Jumanji movie? Not the old Jumanji movie, the new Jumanji movies.
Yeah, my mind went old at first. I was like, no, that don't make sense.
No. Karen Gillan. It would basically be a first draft pick for a first draft pick from Amy Yazbek to this one. And then I thought Nicholas Hoult would be good as Robin Hood. If you don't know who he is, he is gosh, I'm trying to think Nicholas Hoult besides X-Men movies. He plays Beast in like the newer X-Men movies. He's also in that show The Great, which is on Hulu. He's in that newest movie called Renfield that came out with Nicolas Cage earlier this year. He was also a young child in About a Boy. He was in The Menu. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Warm Bodies. That's another good one but yeah, he's the boyfriend that brings the girl in The Menu. And so I thought he's kind of got that air about him. And Jonathan Groff, that's a good suggestion in the chat. That'd be interesting to see him. With Jonathan Groff, I almost always want him to be a bad guy now because of the Hamilton music.
Yeah.
I like that too. Yeah, he's really good.
There was one I considered that wasn't necessarily a comedian, but I thought it would be interesting to see him play a more comedic role, but still as the bad guy, and that was Giancarlo Esposito as Prince John.
Ooh, I love Giancarlo. That's a good one. I love that, and he can do comedy. He could do some comedy. I like that. I like that really well. Okay. Do you have any fun facts? I know you probably did some research, right?
I did. Honestly, none of the facts that I found were that fun. So even though I really liked the movie, the facts on this one I thought were few and far between. I thought most of them revolved around the fact that it was, paying homage to Prince of Thieves for the most part. I think that was most of the facts were revolved around that.
Yeah. I did like that. Here's a fun one. That Hulk Hogan was offered the part of Little John, but he turned it down.
Thank God.
That would have been interesting. I bet he regrets it though. He was too busy doing some Three Ninjas movie or something at this point.
Wait, he was
Or
in a
being
Three Ninjas
racist.
movie?
Yeah, it was like a later Three Ninjas movie, like Three Ninjas at the amusement park or something. I think he was in that. And then Mr. Nanny, is that the one he's
Oh,
in?
dude. I remember seeing the trailer for Mr. Nanny all the time.
The trailer for Mr. Nanny. Yeah. Because it was on some VHS that we probably always watched as a child. That's what I remember a lot of.
Yep.
That one was good. The hangman from this movie, the one that says "No news is good news." He is the same hangman from Blazing Saddles, which I love. What else do I have here? I didn't catch this, and it's kind of dumb. But when the rabbi meets Robin and his merry men in the forest, the rabbi explains that Robin and Maid Marian are made for each other. Her last name is Bagel, and he's Robin of Locksley. And he says Locksley and Bagel, or Bagel can't miss, which is a play on locks on a bagel. I didn't realize that was the joke.
After hearing you say it, it makes sense, but I didn't pick up on it either.
Locksley and Bagel. Yeah. And then that's the sex scene between the sheriff and Latrine. That was all improv during that. He has a great line in there where he says, I have a headache. That's what he says. I think that's really a funny line that gets lost in the moment there. So there are parts of this movie, like I said, that I really laughed at, but consistently it did not make me laugh, which is something a parody movie does often. It's not very consistent all the way through. I will say that of every parody movie I've ever seen. There's always going to be some like valley.
Yeah,
between
that's
the
true.
peaks, you know? So, okay. What is the one negative thing that you have to say about this movie?
I think we talked about it. It was that the Godfather scene sucked.
Oh yeah, the Godfather scene. You hated that scene. If I had to say something nice about this movie, like I think there are good parts in this movie that are like, I think there are really good lines that I just did not feel like most of them were good. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, they're just not enough jokes, and the jokes that they have seem a little bit immature, I guess. It's just so weird to say about a Mel Brooks movie that they talk about farts and dicks and all this other stuff. And I don't know. This one just did not work for me. It seems like he's on the decline on this one.
I'm so sad.
I'm sorry, man. I know. I'm very upset with myself too. I feel like I've disappointed you, and that breaks my heart more than anything. All right. If you want to pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, which one would you choose?
So I have three options.
like
We've
you've talked-
talked about
yeah.
all but one, and they're all really obvious choices. I talked about Monty Python, and you could use any Mel Brooks movie or Princess Bride, and then I also included Young Frankenstein. So I mean, I think all those are pretty obvious. They're kind of in the same vein, and whether you want to go the same genre of like the scenery and setting, or the same, genre of comedy, I think they're all there.
Mm-hmm. What was so I didn't even think about Monty Python. This whole time you've been saying Monty Python, I didn't even think about that. Like, that didn't even come on my radar. The only other one that I have that's different is, of course, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Just because it's the direct parody of this movie, I think that's kind of the obvious one to do that, especially for the performance of Sheriff of Rottingham and then the Sheriff of Nottingham. I think those are very funny comparisons. Also, I don't know. I really wish I came up with better ones. I usually
you want to hear an extremely hot take?
Yes, I would love an extremely hot take.
Okay, get your oven mitts on, because I'm about to take these hot takes out the oven, and that's going to be that this movie stacks up with Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
No, that's a bad take. That is a bad take, ladies and gentlemen.
It's hot. It's steaming.
That is the hottest take I've ever heard.
Well, that's because I think Monty Python is a bit like I love Monty Python, I do, but I think like it's a bit overrated, and I think the fandom around it is just kind of one of those cult things, and I think the
Yeah.
fact that it is British makes people think that it's better when really the jokes are so
Mhm.
similar.
I think I like what you said there. I agree with you. I do believe that some of the fandom does fall under that category of thinking. You know, if it's British, they're smarter than us. So the comedy has to be smarter. And by me liking it, I'm a smarter comedy liker because of that. I agree with that. I will say Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think I like other Monty Python movies better than that one. I think there are better ones than that one. And some of their stuff, like I feel like some of their skits are better. Like there's a whole movie called The Meaning of Life, and it's just a series of skits and stuff. And I think that is more relatable and rewatchable than Holy Grail sometimes. But I love Holy Grail. I'll watch it anytime.
I may have to check out that
But
other one.
I do. I've met more and more people that do not enjoy Monty Python as I've gotten older in my life. That people just don't like it or don't relate to it as much. I got it. It was a church camp thing when I was a kid. Like that was a clean movie that people quoted a lot of church camp, and so that's how I kind of got into it. And then I'm sure Monty Python would hate that I got that from church camp, or they might love it. But yeah, and I don't know I'll watch some of their TV show, and I don't get most of the humor because it's like talking about like British politics in the 70s. I don't get that stuff. And for anybody that claims that they do, that was not born in that time or know anything about that, you can, shove off or whatever. Like you're an idiot. You don't get it. Whatever. I can go on that rant forever. Rewatchability. What do you think it is? If you had to rate it.
Big old 5.
5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. I love that. I give it 2.
I thought
even though I've watched this twice in the last 2 years. So I'm done for probably a decade.
I just think like the subject matter, I think a lot of parodies are really easily rewatchable. Like kind of like I was saying with Spaceballs growing up, I would watch that all the time. Like if we were going on a road trip or anything, like I'd pop it in and we'd watch that, even though I'd seen it a million times, it never gets old. I think that's kind of one of these for me.
All right. And then your overall star rating? I've got a couple other questions to give you, but
oh god, okay. My overall star rating, I gave a 4, which I know you probably came in much lower than that.
I did. I think when I rated it a couple of years ago, I rated it 2.5, and I've went down to a 2. Who knows where it'll be in next year?
Oh, no.
It might be 1.5, 1. Who knows? Out of the Mel Brooks movies that you've seen, I'm assuming you've seen, I would say, the big 4. How does your ranking look with those?
That is a good question. I wasn't prepared for. What would you consider the big 4? I know we've got Spaceballs.
I would say Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and out of this one, I would throw this one in just because we're talking about it.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned those because I have seen all of those. I was looking at some of his other stuff before, and I hadn't seen some of the other stuff. But yeah, I have seen all of these. I think I would
History of the World. Have you ever seen History of the World?
No, I've not.
Okay.
So you said Spaceball. Oh yeah, Young Frankenstein. I'd probably say Spaceballs would be my number 1 personally, and I think even though I love this movie that we talked about today, I think I would still put Young Frankenstein above it. And then I would put Men in Tights, and then I'd put Blazing Saddles last. I'm gonna be honest. That's just it wasn't me. I didn't, it had some funny parts, and it may have been kind of like you feel about this one. but I think
Mhm.
I think that one's kind of tricky.
Yeah. No, and I get it. That is a tricky movie to watch. I love Blazing Saddles, and I think some of the jokes, I good for them, for going for it. Great. I love it. I'm so happy with it. But okay, we've got somebody else in the Alyssa says Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, Young Frankenstein, and Men in Tights is her last out of those four. I say I have went through this a couple times. Sometimes I think that I can switch Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein 1 and 2. They switch all the time. Right now, I think Young Frankenstein sits securely number 1 for me. Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and then Men in Tights. So that's where I sit there. I'm curious though. Like Alyssa does not like Young Frankenstein as much as I do, or I think most people, or not most people, because I've seen people not like it as well. But I want to know what people like about it and what they don't like about it.
Yeah,
Specifically, Young Frankenstein.
I think for me, like on that one, and it's been a long time since I've seen that one. I think I just remember really liking Gene Wilder, and then the character of Igor for some reason. Anything he did, I loved the musical number. I don't know. I thought it was all just really good, and that I don't think that's the easiest subject matter to make this kind of movie about too. So when you do it right, it goes really right.
Yeah.
But if you do it wrong, it goes really wrong.
I think that parody is Young Frankenstein is slower moving, but has more funny, memorable moments than Men in Tights. Okay. I like that. I like your explanation. I think that Young Frankenstein, for some people, it's pronounced Igor. I love it. But like Young Frankenstein, the parody of it is so much farther removed for all of us. And even the people that were watching it then, it's parodying these monster movies from the 30s that were all shot in black and white. So even like there's probably some clever parody stuff that's going on that we don't even pick up on, or that a lot of people don't pick up on. I don't know. I Young Frankenstein's that's my winner. But you catch me on another day, and it's definitely Blazing Saddles. It's equally as good. It's so funny. I can't. Oh my god. That prize question I had for you, just as we were talking about this. But you definitely would rank this above Hot Shots this year.
Oh God, yeah. I think Hot Shots is not very high on this year's list of movies for me. I can't even remember what I gave it as far as a star rating, but yeah, I would rank this one far above Hot Shots. I thought Hot Shots was almost like kind of one of the more modern parodies, as in being that bad. If you think about like, I don't know, movie 43, epic movie, stuff like that. That's kind of how it resonated with for me.
That's I would compare my thoughts on Men in Tights to those movies. So, all right. Well, we're out of the parody game. We have no more parodies left this year. I think I would throw in maybe like Last Action Hero as kind of a parody of stuff that we were watching this year, a little bit on that same thing. But I think I liked Hot Shots better than Last Action Hero, and then this would be my bottom of my 3. So, but that's all right. We don't have to worry about parodies anymore. We're done for the year 1993 with our parodies, and we'll move on to much more serious movies. We're going to get into some serious movies like next week's, but I want to thank you, Spencer, as always, for joining me. Even though through your technical difficulties, it is okay. Everything was fine. We recovered nicely, and we'll do it again soon. One thing I do want to do is see if there's anything that you've been watching or anything that you've watched recently that you want to talk about. I said it could be TV, it could be movies, it could be your son playing basketball. I don't care. Just want to know what you're watching and see what you have recommended.
Well, I wouldn't recommend anybody just coming over and watching my son playing basketball, but I
didn't mean it like that.
I have been watching a little bit. I've been watching Suits, which is good. I don't know that I would necessarily explicitly recommend it to people because it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cheesy, kind of repetitive, but it's something easy to watch while you're doing something else. So I think that's
Mhm.
why I like that. Sometimes I get stuck on shows like that just because it's easier to, sit down and play Xbox while I'm watching that. But then a movie that I did watch relatively recently, and I don't remember the last time I've been on here, so if I was able to suggest this or not, but that would be Triangle of Sadness. I can't remember if I suggested that last time or not, but I think that one I would recommend. But I would probably give that one a caveat too, and not. I don't think I would recommend it to everyone. So you really have to, I don't know, you have to like a certain type of movie to really appreciate that one. I don't think that's one like, I don't know, my mom, my wife, my family, my friends. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but like I would recommend it to someone
Yeah.
like, I don't know, someone like you who I think a real cinephile would probably appreciate that one a little bit more.
Yeah. I like Triangle of Sadness. There were a lot of that genre of movies within the last couple years. Like The Menu is another one that I would kind of throw in there as well. That Eat the Rich, Infinity Pool is a little bit like that. I had already talked about that this year. Again,
Kind of
more
White
contemporary
Lotus
stuff.
ish.
Yeah, White Lotus is ish. That's hard to say. You've been watching some mockumentaries recently. You want to talk about any of those?
Yeah, I did, and I'm really glad you said that. So yeah, my wife and I watched Mascots the other night, and we really liked that mockumentary a lot. And then today we actually just finished up watching Best in Show, and I liked it not quite as much as Mascots, but I did really like it still.
Mm-hmm. The guy that is the guy with the Basset Hound or the Bloodhound or whatever.
Yes,
That is the man with six. That's the man with six fingers on his hand from Princess Bride. Just to bring it back around to.
Is it really?
So, yeah. Also married to Jamie Lee Curtis in real life. So
What?
good for him. Yeah, he's also the director of those movies. He writes and directs those movies.
He was
So
the bright spot in Best in Show for me.
He is the best. I agree. I think he's the best one in Best in Show. Especially, yeah. Cool. Well, I've watched a few movies myself. I watched The Flash this week, which got a lot of hate from a lot of people, and I didn't think it was that bad actually. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I'm a little sad that's going away, but it was a fun time when I was watching it, and so I didn't completely. There were definitely moments when I did hate it, and I have expressed those to a couple people. But like some of the computer generated stuff is really, really bad and takes you out of it. But there's some really good stuff in there. So I enjoyed that. I also watched South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut because I've been watching the South Park series from the very beginning. And if you want a good musical, South Park's it. And then I also watched this Canadian movie, independent movie called I Like Movies, which is just about this senior in high school who loves movies and loves talking about movies, but kind of thinks everybody else is stupid around him, stupider than him. Because they don't know as much about movies as him, and he's kind of a social outcast. And if I didn't, it could be me. It's probably what people think about me when I'm in everyday conversation with him. But that movie was really good as well. I like that. And it's from a first-time director, so maybe we'll see more from that person. I don't know where any of those are streaming though.
Do you have any plans to go see Barbie or Oppenheimer yet?
Yeah, I want to see both of them. I've even considered taking off work to go watch Oppenheimer one day this week. So it's 3 hours. It's like a 4-hour commitment basically to get everything done. But yeah, I do want to see both those movies, and they're killing it right now at the theater.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of movies are getting ready to be pushed because of these strikes, the writer strike and the actors strike. So those might be the last like good movies this year that we get, because they're going to push everything to 2024. Because nobody can promote them or talk about movies, anything. I can't be in SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, because I'm doing this podcast and talking about a movie. So I can't be in it anymore. My bad. You can't either. Sorry. You're screwed.
There go my dreams.
I know, right? That's what I said. Yeah. Other than that, are you going to see those movies?
Yeah, I definitely want to see Oppenheimer. I think I want to see Barbie, but I don't know. I think with that one, I would be content to wait for it to come out to stream. Although it's kind of one of those things you do kind of want to beat it to the spoilers. So it may end up being that situation.
It's been really hard. It's been hard to stay off of Twitter and stuff, to not get anything spoiled. And apparently both movies have like spoiler stuff in them that you don't want to find out from somebody else. So yeah, I really want to get to those before I find out something. I feel like I've already found out stuff about Barbie and I'm pretty mad about it. So, but yeah, I don't have to worry about that, because next week's movie is not either one of those. And it's actually a really, I love this movie a lot. Stars Harrison Ford, and it's The Fugitive. And it is streaming right now for the next 10 days on AMC Plus. If you've never had an AMC Plus subscription, you can do that through Prime, Amazon Prime. Get a free trial, watch that, and then get rid of it. That's what I would recommend you do. Or you can buy it on Amazon. You can rent it for a couple days. It's like $1.79 right now. So it's not too bad. But yeah, we'll be talking about The Fugitive and Tommy Lee Jones and all the good stuff about The Fugitive. I really enjoy The Fugitive. Can't wait to talk about it. But thank you, Spencer, for talking about this movie with me. I'm glad you enjoyed it and could talk fondly about it, where I could not. And I really appreciate you sticking with me through this and finishing up. So thank you. And we'll see you all next week for The Fugitive.